I am feeling sassy today. Partial thanks to this wonderful juice that's in my hand. And I'm gonna oblige my very loyal community of fragrance connoisseurs, because if you ever read comments on my channel, you know that sometimes the commenters are more skilled than the speaker. Today, I am following up on a request and sharing a prophecy of what's gonna happen with fragrance community in the upcoming year or two. Opinions, hot takes, you name it, I got them. To be honest, I was always quite a decisive person, and when I heard Anna Wintour, historic editor-in-chief of Vogue in the United States, and now I guess the content god of all of the Condé Nast, when she in some kind of profiling interview mentioned what are your the top skill and the quality that you have, and she said decisive. I was like, my girl. I know a lot of people have kind of varying opinions of her as a historic figure living this day, but one thing that I found was a lifesaver for me and a lot of people who helped me along the way, people who are influential in my life, is these very quality: ability to shape, form, and express opinions, ability to kind of dissect any complex situational phenomena into core key factors, so-called Taylor expansion of any phenomenon, and then ability to quickly grasp every new evidence and adjust the course going forward. The point of what I'm saying today is that I implore you, if you consider yourself to be part of this community, to follow the same process and actually formulate and maybe write down or share in the comments below your opinions about what's going to happen. And with that, I'm done with my wonderful juice. And gloves off, we are going to start. Let the battle of fragrance oracles begin. First and foremost, the overall trends in the community / fragrance market in the United States, and I would actually say globally. We are experiencing the last phase of exponential growth that will be followed by a massive collapse of people abandoning fragrance collecting and even fragrance wearing altogether. This is a natural, like me as a theoretical physicist and a person who worked with systems design and in artificial intelligence as well, and me being in the blogging space for the last 15 years in different capacities and roles, and being connected to the beauty industry as well. Here are all my credentials. Would you like me to sign my resume and send it to you? Anyway, I just wanted to explain where all of this is coming from. This is a natural, logical part of the cycle that has happened before many times, and it's gonna happen again. These is kind of like the waves of exponential growth that usually followed by this very brief feeling of, oh my god, everything is same old, and the same is overwhelming at the same time, and then it's just tanks down like super sharp. It might not feel as sharp to some, but overall in the global market, everybody will notice it eventually. My prediction is going to happen in the next between half a year to 2 years. It is possible that some macroscopic event, similar to, financial crisis or natural disaster that disrupts logistics chains and economies of various interconnected economies that also affect fragrance industry, that will kind of like tip the scales a little bit. But with or without a disaster, like a macroscopic event, this is bound to happen. It always happened. It happened before, it happens now, it will happen again. We've seen that happen. I don't know how close you are to the kind of beauty industry in general. It had happened when the YouTube took off, and especially makeup community. It was really weird phenomenon. We're placing it kind of between the beginning of things 2007 to its absolute heights, I would say, starting 2014, and kind of already tipping the scale of that kind of fall in 2019. COVID possibly has tipped the scales a little bit, but it was a natural phenomena. I exited a makeup video space and kind of beauty space as an influencer and as like a person who worked with that whole world in marketing and strategy and product design around 2018, I would say, because I felt it. I saw the lining, like the writing on the wall. I was personally already kind of divested, and I left right before it kind of started collapsing. Let me know if that sounds familiar. I'm just giving you historic precedents that are not that far ago. It's like literally the previous wave. And the same thing, by the way, happened in the nail community just on a shorter period of time. What started happening that the well-established brands saw the rise of online community, and they started issuing more and more collections, limited editions, collabs with influencers, celebrities, all kinds of trying to exploit cultural codes and various trends. And it became so fast fashion that even brands that had a lot of kind of bank money in the bank in terms of their brand value cheapened themselves. One example is MAC, that was issuing collections every 2 weeks, if not even more often. What ended up happening, there was a rapid growth of makeup community. All of a sudden, women and men around the world were having not just like a little purse that contains concealer, mascara, and a powder, like eyeshadow palette, and then a couple of lipsticks. But people were having makeup rooms. First, it was like a makeup shelf. Then there was like a famous Alex drawers from the IKEA that were just so designed. They were very fortunately designed in their height and depth of the drawers that it was very convenient to keep makeup in them. It became a whole fetish. Yeah, IKEA sold out of Alex drawers and Alex drawer systems regularly, specifically because of the makeup community worldwide. Fast forward to the end of it, everybody had a makeup line. Nearly every blogger who had 30,000 subscribers and above had some kind of collaboration, a makeup line. The number of products, especially like eyeshadow palettes, they were supposed to be the milking cow of the makeup community, became so frequent. It's pretty much like a colored chalk, like if you think about it, that growing from a drawer to a wardrobe, people had more than 100 concealers, 200 powders, 500 makeup or eyeshadow palettes. What ended up happening that people just fatigued out. It just becomes overwhelming to choose a single product to do its job. People were running out of money. People were running into debt with trying to keep up, right? Just with the keep up with the pulse of the makeup community. Exact same thing happened in the nail community, by the way. And there were all these like extraordinary prices spun out of nowhere. Does it sound familiar? What happened? That people ran into debt. They had too many things. They didn't know how to choose them, and it became overwhelming to even be part of the community because there were too many new things at the same time, and that made nothing special. That cheapened the whole industry tremendously. It lost any perceived artistic or functional value. And as a counter movement to it, the the panning projects were born. People were low buy and no buy projects were born. People were committing to no buy for a year or a certain period of time, or very like strict regiment like rules of what and how they are not gonna do in terms of their budget to their niche interest. And eventually that led to the declutter movement, which you can already can see rising more and more in the perfume community. And eventually people were not just downscaling their consumption and not just choosing this or that influencer that they would follow. They would quit the whole field altogether because it was too much. It was too consumeristic. It was impossible to even choose one. And we are like, our psychology, like our tolerance levels as humans, has a bit of this kind of all or nothing barrier. We can tolerate so much, but eventually the more uncomfortable we are, the more radical solutions and decisions we're willing to entertain. Same happens with people suddenly quitting their jobs, suddenly running out on their spouses and families. The more uncomfortable that we are, the more tolerant we become with the radical solutions. So the perfume industry is going to go through the same cycle. And I can see the signs of the tipping point already. Does it mean that I'll forever stop making videos about perfumes? Not yet. However, I am seriously rethinking what this channel is about and what I am as about as a thought leader. I know it's very not humble to say that, but it's my life, kind of. um, as a muse, as a friend, as a nerd when it comes to this space, because I want to create a safe haven, like a sanctuary for people who don't want to fall off the cliff, just like majority of people who loved beauty did when that kind of iceberg cracked. So this is going to happen. Buckle up. The exponential growth is, I think, it's still going, but I think we are like at kind of the tail end of the exponential growth. It's gonna be a weird period of plateau, of this general confusion and exhaustion, and then we'll see things just very quickly spiraling down. I don't curse. It's gonna be, it happened before, it will happen again. What does it mean in terms of us, right? The people who make videos, the people who watch videos, I'm both. People who comment on videos, me too. People who have collections, people who care about fragrances and scents in general. That means that, again, declutters are coming, low buy, no buys projects are coming. Get ready. Again, instead of fighting the wave, just jump on the wave. Start your low buy project right now. You will not miss a beat. Trust me. The madness in the middle of a plague, people will try to monetize their collections. So people will try to it's almost like a real estate bubble. People try to resell very quickly something that has a perceived value so they can get out of the market. So very soon, all of the reseller platforms such as Mercari, eBay, you name it, will be flooded with so-called gently used bottles. And some people would do better than others, mainly because of their understanding of long-term value. And since corporations bought, a lot of people don't know that for some reason, corporations have been vacuuming all of the niche perfume brands for probably a decade now. And what it means that very few players in the world of what we know as brands apparently is owned by very, very few, I would say 5 big corporations. Le Labo is sold out to someone like, Frederic Malle is owned by someone. Like all of the things that you think is a household name are actually owned by someone else. And those corporations, the moment the stock market, turns into a bear market, and the moment there is a little bit of that market scare, they'll start auditing and shutting down brands. That means that a lot of brands like Le Labo, I'm placing my farewell on it, that, like had quite a bit of reputation, out of the blue will go extinct. A lot of, a vast majority of what I call Instagram niche, these colors, Mayalis, etc. These kind of brands who are all about fake riches, and like it's sold as a noble fake it till you make it, while in reality it's just fake it and keep faking it. It's not, this person is not on the way anywhere. They're not it's like people who buy Baccarat Rouge. Sorry, not sorry. There are brands who monetize on that, if you think about it, very human desire to appear successful. And all of those brands, don't make me repeat that, because I don't want to offend anyone, but we know who that is. Even some of the better established ones that are run by corporations, even those will be shut down, because all of these people who are now shelling money for the red and gold plaque of Baccarat Rouge will go into bankruptcy. They will lose their service jobs, or whatever they're doing on the side. On the various portals, that will just know, like, the crisis always brings authenticity and reality into focus. People have to focus on their bills. People have to focus on their health. People have to focus on, the crumbling relationships around them, friends, co-workers, family, love lives, kids, all these fuzz, the champagne bubbles that surrounds right now these kind of like TikTok, Instagram niche fragrance brands. Pretty much almost anything's what Sephora carries these days, which is sad, because they used to carry and represent Etat Libre d'Orange, L'Artisan Parfumeur. Like Sephora had its fair share of glory days when it comes to niche perfumery. Now I never ever look at Sephora, ever, when I'm looking for like new fragrances. This is not the thing. It's completely devalued, just like MAC at some point, when they used to be a fairly prestigious professional, makeup that professionals use. No longer, and they have never recovered. Their brand value never recovered from like overproducing and overusing kind of the craziness. One of the brands that I'm, again, as I said, like I'm kind of making myself go over a decision boundary and state strong opinions, because I find it to be a useful tool in thinking. I don't mean any offense. It might not happen. Otherwise, I would know where to invest my money and my time. But I'm giving you some specific examples. For example, brands, in my view, like Kilian and Tom Ford, had their heyday of like luxury, sexy fragrances. At this point, are Kilian less so, but Tom Ford for sure. They are issuing so many perfumes. It seems like every month they have 3 new perfumes. That their brand value, it doesn't matter that they price them $300. I don't care. If you are releasing so many perfumes so quickly, you are cheapening the brand. I think Tom Ford is going down. They're not going to recover. Unless they do something like truly dramatic and staged, like saying we're halting production of all of our perfumes until further notice. The only things that we have produced, the production stops today. And like there are a few boxes that are still in the shipping from the factories, and that's it. And they actually hold true to their word until the whole stock sells out, and 2 years later they reinvent themselves as a new in a new space, in a new style as a Tom Ford fragrances. Unless they do something like that, they're going down. They're gonna, like, their brand values already is very questionable in the fragrance world. That's my opinion. That's my prophecy. They're not the only ones. They are just following the same trend of trying to milk a half-dead cow. So this is gonna keep happening. So people will try to sell their perfumes, and very quickly they'll realize that all of those like 120 Arabic dupes for Baccarat Rouge or this or that are worth nothing. Nobody's willing to buy them for even $10. They will realize that the kind of nouveau riche brands that came out of nowhere, they're all going away. And if you paid your $100-something for famali, let's say that, if you like it, wear it. Wear it now when the moment is still there. If you don't like it, sell it now while people are still willing to buy it, and just curb any buying activity of anything that is an Instagram niche. That's something that just doesn't have, you don't know where it came from, you don't know where they're going. All of that is a huge bubble that's just gonna collapse. We mentally need to prepare for that and start doing thoughtful and mindful reviews of everything that we have. And if you're curious, if you want me to help you on your way, I'm super happy to design some kind of pathway and maybe series of videos to, like, how do you analyze and restart and refine your purchasing habits, and how do you form a fragrance collection, or more so, how do you restructure your fragrance collection. There's no point of starting a fragrance collection now, my friend. No, wait until the whole thing collapses. Then the kind of the things will level up, and the horizon will be clear of what has actual olfactory and cultural value. Right now, it's just it's craziness. As I said, like, there are a million of money hungry product managers who are trying to milk a half-dead cow. This one I'm a little bit split on. I don't quite have a strong feeling, which is like scientific intuition for me, whether cheap fragrances will have a comeback as a result of that kind of crisis of overly expensive, zero value Instagram niche brands. I did like what Good Chemistry was doing, but they seem to have kind of left the space a little bit, at least the visibility. So I don't know what happened there. But Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, the kind of the $10 per cent kind of things always need to exist for the teens and the kids and the people with very modest incomes to still have an into the space. And though Bath and Body Works and Victoria's Secret, in my view, really degraded the scents to detergents, flavorings right now, everything is just so chemical, so artificial, and so vividly annoying that it's hard to call that a fragrance. But they were companies that were formulating affordable, very, again, $10 a cent fragrances. One good example is Good Chemistry. They were sold in Target at some point. That were making really cute. It's kind of like, think Jo Malone, but it costs $10, which is the fair price of Jo Malone. Let's face it. They were like having all these like au naturals, like water lily, like all these like kind of floaty, interesting, sometimes even conceptual creations that were easy to wear, easy to understand, kind of like body mists that just make you feel good. I wonder if it will be a good revival time for them when this whole thing collapses, to fulfill that niche, when all of the people out of money and just out of desire to even consider a fragrance, a perfume, a cologne, then they will still go to Target to buy something, and they'll see, like my favorite pillow scent. I was like, you know what? I'll wear that and call it a day. that might be a twist that kind of they'll step in and kind of snatch those disheartened and overwhelmed customers that are no longer buying into the extravagant pricing and again like nauseating and sugary marketing style. That might happen. Not 100% sold on that, but I kind of see that this could work. What will happen with blogging community? Well, let me tell you, I've seen this over and over and over again. There will be a continued fragmentation and segregation of bloggers. Kids fragrance bloggers, teens fragrance bloggers, goth fragrance bloggers, these fragrance bloggers, Latina fragrance bloggers, Asian fragrance bloggers, these fragrance bloggers, marine fragrance bloggers, carpenter fragrance bloggers, electrician fragrance bloggers, teacher fragrance, whatever you name it, red hat fragrance bloggers, something like that. There will be continued fragmentation and kind of like, again, sharpening of the exponential growth of popularity. There will be few worldwide famous bloggers, and you will be able to count them on one hand. There will not be 100, there will not be 500, there will not be a million. It will be weeding out of a lot of the middle-sized bloggers and the small bloggers, and there will be just like superstars. There will be superstars, and there will be a long tail of kind of micro famous people who are staples in their small community, in their small niche of a fragrance community. And anybody who has a specific vision, a specific style, has a chance at survival. Anybody who just tries to fit in and be just like the other girl, the other guy, like continuing this again, milking a half-dead cow of girl next door, guy next door, unless you're already super big, I have bad news for you. This is gonna be like a desert. It will be very hard to grow. And it will be so easy for people to jump between content and between brands. Everything essentially will become a no name. That's what I'm trying to say. There will be very few kind of household names for bloggers and communities that will be just global. I don't think Jeremy Fragrance probably will make it. Like, he is ambitious enough to do whatever it takes. And that brings me to the next thing, those kind of the segregation into, are you part of a very specific niche, or are you trying to become this, one of the five, like Hunger Games of perfume bloggers? There will be more and more scandals. There will be more and more relational drama. There will be, because that, guess how I know? Because it has happened already in other better established markets and therefore influencer communities. There would be more and more clicks. There would be more and more discussion. Oh, so and so is friends with so and so and not so. They were making content and collabs together before. They're no longer talking to each other, and this and that. Oh, this person is kind of boycotting the brand that this person is representing or working with. It's gonna be more and more reality TV of those who are racing to the top to be the surviving 5, 10, and massive exodus. There will be like a lot of churn, people starting, people quitting, people starting, people quitting, people half alive, and there will be very tight, very, like, I call it hyper loyalty, hyper loyal small niches. And guess where do I want to belong? Obviously, I want my own small enough but self-sustainable for me as a person who needs, a bread on my table and a roof over my head. And for you, because for me, a hyper loyal but sizable community means clarity, means cohesiveness, means clear style and taste, and I like things to be well designed, whatever that is, but I want it to be thought through, because again, that brings this sense of joy, sense of pleasure, sense of calm, and sense of sanity. When the whole world is exploding in this like buy, sell, cancel, support. If you can find your own kind of like microcosm where things make sense, where things are stable and still yet diverse enough and has a little bit of that element of newness, it's a easy to say, hard to do. That is the place where I personally want to be, and this is the place where I would highly recommend you to land as well. Unless you're one of the mainstream people, you just, you want somebody to tell you what to like, and you know that every single person in this large cohort of mainstream, be it Japan, China, Russia, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Australia, or both Americas, everybody who knows Jeremy Fragrance is wearing the same cologne. You're all united in that. It is also a sense of belonging, and in a way, people will naturally gravitate, just like asteroids, to their own planets. What it also means that a lot of fairly famous in their niche bloggers will not know about each other. These things will become more and more disconnected, even though we live in the forever connected world. Just the exponential explosion of content and products, and everybody's trying to be a brand. Every consumer, like everybody can start a blog, everybody can write a song, everybody can, connect with one of the big flavor makers and, packaging companies to make their own perfume. And it will continue to exist. It just will create so much fatigue that people will purposefully avoid new information outside of what they consider their home base. What about personalized scents? What would I compare it with? It's like tarot or like any kind of card reading. It's like one of those niche activities, or mixing essential oils, that will always be there, but I don't see it ever becoming truly big. And here's why. I'm basing my prediction that personalization will continue to exist, but it will be kind of like one of those niches that kind of like half dead, half alive. I don't see it growing for a basic but very stable biopsychology of human beings. In social sciences, there is this concept of declared and revealed preferences. And personalization of fragrances falls exactly into that gap in between. Here's the truth about us as humans. We are hypocrites. We are such hypocrites, guys. It is not funny, and then therefore it's so funny because we take ourselves so seriously. You ask about anyone, would you rather be normal or weird? And the most blasé, the most average Joe looking people say like, oh, I want to be weird, like I want to be special. And he's like, and you look at them, it's like there's like absolutely nothing in how you live your life and how you dress and how you are and how you speak and how you behave that even hints at that. Because that's one of those declared preferences. People they declare that they want to be weird, they want to be unique, they want to be special. While in reality, the vast majority of people finds comfort, safety, and joy in conformity. They want to be just like their neighbor, just like the average in the school. So therefore, the claim, oh, I wish I could find like my special signature fragrance, and yet people never dare to like something that hasn't been approved by what they consider a figure of authority, an influencer, celebrity, a national marketing campaign. And if what they like is rare and it's hard to market, it doesn't, like if you wear some kind of fragrance, it has a branding value, and conformity and fitting in heavily is based on that, on shared labels. If you have a personalized fragrance that was created just for you, you no longer fit in. And that's what people cannot tolerate nearly at all costs. So Personalization is a very expensive and nebulous business mechanism. And all of the brands that I've interviewed and kind of evaluated that claim to make personalized scents essentially use, I don't know, 5 to 20 templates, pre-made blends that they just kind of like, 5 questions, here you go. I mean, how is that different from just going to an online store and a real store, or just sampling something yourself and seeing what ticks your button? So it's as personalized as picking an oatmeal in a grocery store. It's just people don't let you look at all the options. They're putting a kind of a middleman between you and the oatmeals and saying like, all right, you tell me what you're about and I'll make something special for you. In reality, there are, X number of boxes already pre-made and prepackaged that have been market tested and that already kind of like exist in the world of perfumery. There are a lot of templates in the world of perfumery that businesses, brands, and perfumers use as a departing point, and they'll pretty much like do, close your eyes, here you go, made just for you. There will always be people who kind of enjoy the experience enough that they will suspend the disbelief and go along with it. But as I said, it will never become big. Personalization and uniqueness will never become mainstream, because mainstream is about fitting in. Mainstream is about following and being just like your opinion maker, like your influencer, your Jay Lopez, your Taylor Swift, and yada, 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 yada. Or at the very least, your neighbor. All right, which notes and which kind of olfactory profiles, what kind of scents will become popular? I don't know, and I don't want to know. This is the part that's actually fun for me, just to see what happens. In the short term, I am kind of interested if an incense-based fragrances are making a comeback. This is a note that I slowly myself develop an interest in. And to me, incense has such a bad PR team that we really need some kind of reinvention of incense, because it can smell very, very non-incensey and very, very different from what we think about. Like, it doesn't have to be going to church kind of situation, even though there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's actually one of the most soothing and nourishing experiences you could give to yourself, especially if you're at home, if you're in a space where you want to just create fulfillment without any external working too hard for it with external world. You put on a rich incense scent, maybe just through associations, because it's used so much in the spiritual communities. Incense absolutely does soothe the soul and almost creates connection with energy in the world in a more kind of like nebulous sense, like the field of energy. You almost feel connected to a field of energy. It's kind of introverted type of accord, but I also have recently smelled, and one example is colognes and waters by Serge Lutens. They do use a lot of incenses in their colognes. Like, you would never think that. Lily plus very light incense in Passage d'Enfer and L'Artisan Parfumeur comes to mind. There are a lot of light, ethereal, romantic, unexpected uses of incense that, like, it's a completely divorced from the church aspect of it. So I am curious if incense could become kind of the flagman, the new contemporary well-designed organic chemistry can bring incense as a flagman of me for me, this kind of like spirituality, and given space taking space for yourself in your own life type of situation, because I think mindfulness, wellness are becoming more and more prevalent in everybody's lives. We're potentially temporarily are becoming more enlightened that it is important to find peace and balance with being just by yourself. And I find that vetiver, though vetiver is very popular and it's already taking big space in fragrance community, the fragrance industry, I'm curious if incense can kind of be this breath of fresh air. It can be reinterpreted and reinvented in order to lead this trend in our overall cultural life. Decants are to stay, are to grow. I think Sandbird is up to something, and if they manage to stay on the market as long as other sampling services, this is gonna, in my view, become even more of a mainstream and of kind of like almost classic, the go-to modes of interacting with the fragrance industry. It is very hard to sustain brick and mortar shopping malls that have a corner of every brand, but this kind of nimble sampling is here to stay. And I can tell that by attempts that Scentbird is now making, instead of like being somewhere in the shadows, bringing themselves forefront and inviting and making videos and talking to designers, talking to huge retail chains like Saks Fifth Avenue. Sampling services are claiming their own space in the fragrance world, not as like a gray market, but like, no, this is a way to exist. We're not just a shameful mistress of the, of the bigger fragrance brands. We are a legitimate agency, a talent agency, if you wish, that connect viewers and, like ensuring that the next blockbuster arrives. With that said, it will be a bloodbath. There will be a race with these so far more or less independent talent agencies, decant services, in these like sampling businesses. There will be a bloodbath between them and corporations and the fragrance brands themselves. Fragrance brands finally caved in and more started making sampler kits, because in the online digital world where you can't really sample anything in real life, you have to pretty much put it as part of your cost structure to have samples. They're incredibly expensive to make. The fragrance itself is the cheapest part of the whole thing. Therefore, having 10 of them, glass bottle, like all of these little parts that make us like a spray sample, this is the most expensive, like the box that it comes in, this is the most expensive part of the endeavor. The fragrance is like less than a couple of cents that all goes into it. It's all of the packaging that makes it a kind of like a negative revenue for the brands. But you can't escape it in the new world. So they will have to redesign their business plans and they redesign their like budgeting sheets and race with the sampling businesses to grab back that audience, to bring back those customers, so they go directly to Frederick Mall, so to speak, if it's a corporation based brand, or like Dolce & Gabbana, Armani Privé, whatever you name it, right? So they go to the brand or the corporation itself and not to the sampling businesses. Sampling businesses will fight them teeth and nail. Not all of them will survive. Those have managed to establish fruitful, mutually beneficial relationships with makers of the flavorings, the Givaudan, Firmenich, and yada yada yada, all of them, with the brands, with the retail chains that sell them, Sephora, Saks Fifth Avenue, and Macy's, and yada yada yada, and brands themselves. Those will potentially stay around, but it will not be nice. It will not be nice. There will be a lot of hurt feelings. There will be a lot of drama behind the scenes in the sampling services industry, because it's absolutely gonna become the bloodline for a lot of the fragrance makers to stay in the business. Fakes, they will always be there. Fakes will always be there, but with a new twist. I predict that faking industry, the industry of counterfeit and fakes and lookalikes, will and it's already, I don't know about you, I can smell it, I can see it in the air. It's coming out of the shadows, just like the sampling and decanting services, and declaring it's part of the kind of official layer of a fragrance industry. They're going to be inspired. Instead of trying to match the bottle to, get the right font, the right placement, and get it just so they can sell a fake amouage, they will be clearly using different bottle design, just with a bit of a homage, with a bit of like a flavoring that kind of visually sends you toward the original, the inspiring, expensive scent. And they was like inspired by, or reminiscent of, like, let's say if it's Amor Sunshine, which is like a bright kind of orange yellow bottle, they'll make again something of that color but of a different shape, and maybe like not opaque but like semi-opaque, and they will say like, oh, like the juicy apricots and the smantus and this and that, inspired by Amouage Sunshine. They will pretty much cater to people with very modest incomes, to teens and kids, and I think that is the way to go. And since it's coupled to a global trend of everything becoming no name, because copyright is nearly ceased to exist in the world of AI, in the world of social media and exponential explosion of intellectual property, therefore nothing is truly unique, and proving plagiarism is almost, we're very close to it being pointless at this point. Therefore it's becoming, it's a mind twist, I know, but it's becoming beneficial for such collaborations to exist, or even more so to, let's say, that proverbial Amouage Sunshine, for them to create a cheaper brand that will kind of do dupes and knockoffs of Amouage itself, and for the Amouage parent company to make money off of that secondary market with, $10 Amouage Sunshine kind of inspired dupe. So I think that's what's gonna happen. We're probably not gonna see an explosion of counterfeit in, like lookalike fakes. We will see a kind of legitimization and establishment of tiers. It happened again. It happened before, it will happen again. First were the fashion brands, when they, went from haute couture to pret-a-porter. Then pret-a-porter to, Michael Kors Sport, or like Ralph Lauren Sport, or whatever, like CK instead of Calvin Klein. And then even inspired by that, there are all these like other brands that are mass market that kind of sort of maybe. So this establishing and solidifying on tiers and inspired dupes will continue, will become absolutely normal, because again, everything, as I told you, is becoming no name. If you are not okay with it, you either have to become hyper loyal to a very specific niche, or you will be frustrated to no end. Last prediction, I'm gonna stop there because otherwise I'll be making prophecies all night long with you. But if you have any more questions for me to make prophecies on, let me know, and we can potentially, if we get enough of them, we can kind of segue into a part 2 at some point. The last prediction, celebrity fragrances. It depends how soon is that, as I said, that the tipping point and the decay. If the craziness of like exponential explosion of fragrances and brands is to continue for a year or two before it tips, we might see more celebrity fragrances, but in a different way, I think. I see more and more that, like, we already had that wave, okay? Those of you who missed it or forgot it, 80s to 90s were the celebrity fragrance era. And essentially, huge corporations were kind of inviting celebrities, and it's called like white label. They just call Paul McCartney and say, like, here you go, here are 5 fragrances. Which one do you like the most? We'll put your name on it. And that's it. And pretty much you're licensing your name. Corporation makes money, you make a little bit of a cut of sales. And then, you know, you ride the wave, everybody's done it, including Sarah Jessica Parker, which is one of the more successful, I would say, examples of many, many, many. But that bubble bursted. Those are incredibly cheap, uninteresting, really nothing to talk about fragrances, let's face it. And people quickly realized that they were being just sold really bad quality stuff, and the celebrities brand cheapened as a result of it just the same. So what started happening on the new wave of a business explosion in the beauty industry, and again, I have to give you an example of makeup industry where it has already happened, because fragrance, it is happening and will continue to happen until, as I said, the collapse happens. Celebrities do not trust the corporations as much anymore, and they feel more empowered by their fan base to take more creative control. Therefore, what celebrities, at least some of them, try to pull off is creating their own brands. They may or may not even give the brand their own name. More likely they are not than they are. And you can see it in the beauty. Fenty by Rihanna, Selena Gomez, Lady Gaga. Oh my God, so many of them in the last 5 to 7 years have created their makeup brands, and none of them just slapped their name on, you know, proverbial Mac or whatever. I mean, they did, and they didn't really do them any good. So those of them who are savvier, who actually want to make an impactful business decision and an impactful branding decision, will, in collaboration with the corporations that have, you know, the logistical chains, the chemists, the kind of the technical and production talent and facilities, they will collaborate, but they will form brands, more likely than not, brands that will not have their name on it, but will have their face on the advertising. Kind of, they will be backing the brand, but they will not be just issuing a fragrance called XYZ. They will continue to do that until, you know, the Titanic sinks in that form. Let me know if I need to clarify any of these points. I think with that, I'm gonna limit myself to that many prophecies a video. And let's see, time will show if I'm right or wrong. I'm fairly confident and cocky and sassy tonight that I got it just right. You watch and see. Save this video, share it with a friend, show it to the critics and the skeptics, and let me know if you agree or disagree, and especially let me know why. If you have a different opinion, justify. Give me the facts. Give me the data. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, I hope you will feel empowered to buy me a coffee, because this is the way that I put food on my table. Thank you again so much for watching. Thank you for your support. If you want to send a challenge for my nose, my address is down below. I'm always welcoming a blind test or blind challenge to, or any kind of communication with you and feedback, because that will inform what the next video is going to be about.